A coin flips, heads and tails. A conflict across 1 million message boards and comment feeds in our world wide web. Heads. Millennials are so lazy, entitled and frivolous. We've bred a generation of brats addicted to social media and asinine pop music. Look at the school dropout rates, crime stats, pharmaceutical dependence, drug and alcohol use. These millennials need to get their act together. Tails. How dare you criticize young people? You have no idea how hard it is for the current generation. Which generation owns the corporations that produce the smartphones, the pharmaceuticals, and the asinine pop music we're addicted to? It's certainly not millennials. Your generation destroyed the education system and raised the university fees so we can't get qualified without getting saddled with crippling debt for decades. And due to you destroying the economy, the jobs we might study for have disappeared in any case. Heads. You're part of the me generation. It's not like when I was young. We had a strong work ethic and we respected our elders and betters. We were true patriots and we went to fight for our country, for freedoms that you millennials just take for granted. Tails. Millennials are the me generation. Ha! You boomers used up society to get to the highest positions and then pulled up the ladders behind you. You've started illegal wars that you expect our generation to go and fight and die in with no hope of care or respect or peace afterwards. And most importantly of all, thanks to your rampant industrialization, the environment is headed for complete collapse. So anything we do is likely futile. Heads. You naive, ungrateful youngster. You owe everything you have to the industrialization we worked to create. And you don't believe that climate change crap, do you? That's just lefty, hippie noise spread by China and Russia to slow down our economy so they can take over. Tails. Well, yeah, in spite of the best efforts of your generation, there are still enough qualified scientists operating around the world who are fairly united in the consensus that the future, without drastic changes to human activity on the planet, is looking very dire indeed. Heads. Typical millennial. Always whining. Tails. Typical boomer. Always denying. We can argue back and forth until we're blue in the face and there's no air. But this blame game is a broken GPS. It's getting us nowhere. And 1,000 years in the future, no one will look back on this time and know or care that there were different generations coexisting in this era. They'll only know one of two things: that those strange, empty, crumbling, deserted buildings dotting the scorched or flooded landscape used to be occupied by people who spent the last era of civilization arguing over who was to blame for the state of the world as it collapsed around them. Or that this was the time when the people who found themselves alive on this planet decided to put aside the aspects that divide and rise. That these were the people who honestly analyzed the positive and negative, the benefits and deficits of their way of life, kept what worked for all and reformed what didn't deny that yes, they were standing on the shoulders of giants, but also didn't try and deny that those giants had feet of clay. Decided to truly unite, not just in spite of differences, but in fact strengthened by diversity. Decided to stand united on those shoulders of giants, take a stand one last time, spread their collective wings, take the chance at the last gasp, take a leap of faith and fly. That this was the generation that woke up in a plane headed for the ground, in the middle of a swan dive down that none of them had initiated, but took the decision and the initiative to grip the joystick and turn it around. That this is the generation. No more my generation, your generation, their generation, this generation. Not the boomers, the Gen Xers, the Gen Y, the Gen Z, this whole generation. Because guess what? If you're alive at this time, it doesn't matter if you're aged between 19 and 30 or born in the 1930s, 4, 5 or born in 1945. Born in the 90s or in your 90s. In the context of history, we're all one generation. I'm thinking a redefinition has become essential. So if you're alive right now at the beginning of this fresh new millennium, and you care whether or not humanity gets to see another millennium, then I hereby declare that you are a millennial. So yes, millennials, all of us, Let's all quit complaining and blaming. Cease being a snake biting its own tail forever. And see that we're two sides of the same coin, heads and tails, because in the only sense that matters, we're all in this together. Let millennial be a badge people of all ages wear with pride. Something to self-identify as a person who's proud to be alive at this precise moment in time. When people 1,000 years from now will look at old growth forests rising high into the skies, a planetary ecosystem aligned, global social equity refined, biodiversity preserved to thrive, and say that this was the generation to decide. Let them all thank the very skies that we arrived with the purpose and the urge to unite. We millennials that turned the tide.
Hey everyone, Hugo the Poet here. I really hope you enjoyed that piece, Millennials. I want to give props to all my patrons for their amazing support. Their names are all scrolling up the screen here. And I want to give a special shout out to my patron and real long-term homeboy, Damian Tapley, who's an amazing pianist, and he actually composed the piece that I used in the first bit. I'll link to his latest album down below. This is a great thing, getting to actually collaborate with patrons. I hope it's going to happen more. In fact, I know it's going to happen more, so keep your eyes peeled. That's about it. Why am I dressed in an anorak and in some kind of truck stop? Why did I have to drive to find internet? Well, all will be revealed in a future video, so stay tuned. And thanks again. And of course, as always, peace.